when we set up Trust Projects, it was during COVID. It was a big risk. People thought we were bloody crazy. It was never financial for us. It was never like we wanted to make $2 or $3 million, in our first year. It was never that. It was proving to the industry that we could do it. It's hard to do it, right? It's hard to set up a shop fitting company. People can't keep up with the speed. People can't keep up with the issues. People don't like working before or after hours. The shop fitting business is, in our eyes, a 24/7 business. Needs to operate from Monday through to Sunday. Why? Because if you don't, you get caught out. You don't deliver. You can't deliver.
Welcome to the Site to Studio podcast. Today we have Nick Karras. Nick Karras from Trust Projects.
Yep.
Let's start by, could you tell us what you guys do?
Hey, Charlie. So we're a hospitality retail shop fitting company.
Yeah.
So we specialize in high-end commercial fit outs, a lot of restaurants, pubs, clubs, cafes, and some retail. We've been in business for approximately 4 years. So we're a young company with a lot of experience, combined between the three of us, which includes Daniel Molina, Daniel Jones and myself as the directors. We've got close to 30 years of experience in the industry. All we know what to do and all we live and breathe is shop fitting. The building restaurants and cafes and all the well-known stuff, such as Five Guys, St. Ali, Coffee. We do a lot of their work. Mad Mex, Loon Croissants, you name it. A lot of the it and a bit hospitality brands like to work with us. So that's who we are, man. Trust Projects.
And give us an idea as to the origin story of how you got from entering your career into the stage that you started.
Yeah, of course. So the three of us, we were seen as that next generation coming through the shop fitting industry. So we worked with our respected bosses, for a number of years. Myself, I was tied in with my previous employer for over 12 years. Daniel Molina and Daniel Jones, approximately the same as well. So we showed a lot of respect and loyalty to the previous guys that we worked for. We learnt a lot from them, what to do and what not to do. I feel that what not to do has made us who we are today, and what sort of the people outside of our business see us as. The what to do, we feel that it came naturally for the people that we are personally. The three of us have come from a sporting background, so collectively we know how to sort of unite and bring people together, and that's just obviously playing sport at a pretty high level. So we've adapted that that sporting model into our business today. We're a young business. I think the eldest guy would probably, and he'll probably hate me saying this, but Daniel Molina, who's 42 years old. So and then the rest of us follow suit. So we're a very energetic company. Again, we feel that gives us the advantage in today's market by clients wanting to work with us. The fact that we've got young eyes and we can see what kind of will work and what doesn't work. Even though we follow drawings, our input goes a long way. Having been involved in the past and present with hospitality businesses, we know what's wrong. So and clients do respect that, and they always, generally listen to what we have to say.
What were some of those things that you learned from your experience of what not to do?
I think you can't afford in today's industry or shop fitting or whatever you want to call it, hospitality builders, retail builders. You can't afford to get complacent. I feel that if you start thinking it's okay, it won't be okay. So that's why you always just need to be on the front foot. Collectively, don't sweat on the small stuff. You need to fix that, that issue then and there, and then just, wipe it and move on. Like we understand detailing, and we understand what is a defect or an issue.
But like one thing that I really associate the Trust brand with, one thing that in my head is the idea of speed. Obviously the nature of shop fitting is fast and everything has to happen. But the other side is Trust is such a young brand that's done so much in such a short period of time. So there's a speed there. And then there's also that speed, the speed and the lightweightness of the feel of the operation. Because like you said, if something happens, who cares? It's, water off a duck's back. Let's resolve it, move on. And that then it reduces friction and creates more speed.
100%.
Is that something that you guys think about, having a really fast flywheel in the business to just keep things moving?
I think it's. I think being in the industry for such a long time, you not so much you make it up, but you're always problem solving. You're always coming up with better ways on installing a product, which relates to delivering, a restaurant or retail. So just having that kind of experience and making. Making decisions not on the fly, but just making decisions that connect the client and the designer to be on the same page as you. I feel works well.
And how does that work? How does making fast decisions work in the context of having two other directors in the business?
We've got a unique special bond. When we set up, funny story. When we set up Trust Projects, it was during COVID. So my two business partners obviously gave notice to their respective bosses, and they thought they were mad. And then obviously Daniel Molina and Daniel Jones. Not so much poached me, but I was happy where I was. But I always wanted to prove to the industry what I can do as an individual. Having obviously a shop fitting company on my back. Again, it happened during COVID. People thought we were bloody crazy. The first hardest hit industry for the shutdowns was obviously restaurants, cafes, retail stores. And what we specialized in building was restaurants, cafes, and retail stores. So it was, my wife at the stage was pregnant. She thought, what are you guys doing? My two business partners have obviously kids, so they needed their mortgages, of course. So it was a big risk. Again, a lot of people thought we were mad on
so
opening
what
something.
What was the basis? So what was the thesis upon you guys founded this idea that you guys could come out, start something, and obviously it's worked. It's turned into a very successful shop fitting business.
Yeah.
But what gave you the conviction, apart from knowing that you guys knew how to run a shop fitting business, what gave you the conviction to start this business? We
knew will the next generation coming up through the industry. Will the next kind of young generation, knocking on architects' doors by representing our old bosses. So we knew we had that relationship with contractors, architects, clients. I used to price up a lot when I was with my previous boss against Daniel Jones and Daniel Molina. So like it was always kind of a real thrill pricing up against these younger, same age guys as myself, and just Daniel called me one morning saying, let's catch up and try and work something out. It was at the stage where everything was locked down and we couldn't leave outside of our 5K radius. But we bent those rules a bit and caught up, and we are who we are today.
So so what you saw was that you were sick of the complacency in the market, and you were ready to disrupt it in some way.
I wasn't sick. For me, it was always proving to the industry that we could do it. It was never financial for us. It was never like we wanted to make, $2 or $3 million, in our first year, 6 to 7 in our next, 10 in our third. It was never that. It was proving to the industry that we could do it. That was our first kind of motto.
Who said you couldn't do it?
Well, it's hard to do it, right? It's hard to set up a shop fitting company. People can't keep up with the speed. People can't keep up with the issues. People don't like working before or after hours. The shop fitting business is, in our eyes, a 24/7 business. Needs to operate from Monday through to Sunday. Why? Because if you don't, you get caught out. You don't deliver. You can't deliver. That's
because increasing the operating hours, it increases the likelihood you're going to deliver a project on time by a certain percentage, and over 100 jobs, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So ultimately, it's time that fears us. You can say not only in business but in life as well. You're always fighting time. Like we start a job and we're worried. Fuck, we're already a week behind. So there's so many elements to your prep work that you need to get right. You need to push the program, the first 2 or 3 weeks, just so you can have a bit of breathing space before that bottleneck comes, crashing towards the end of the handover week.
So what you're talking to me about now is from a project management standpoint, from an attitude standpoint of how you deal with a job.
Yeah.
Instead of applying that urgency to as we're hitting the site and doing the work, let's apply that urgency to the planning stage. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you definitely need to plan. You need to know what you're planning. You need to gel with the contractors. You need to get those shop drawings down pat early stage and get that reviewed and signed off quick, just so you can have your long lead time items off your back, and then obviously, 3-4 weeks into your program, then obviously you start receiving joinery or metalwork or whatever manufactured items, have been worked on during the past 3 to 4 weeks, and also have some buffer in there just in case something slips or something damages or, a measurement goes fucking wrong, so.
How do you get contractors to want to bat for you? I've worked for you.
Yep.
I want to fucking do it right for Nick.
Yeah.
Why do I feel that way?
Because we pay on time.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah, we don't sweat on payments. The way that a shop fitting company should be run is you should have, a hefty deposit up front. It just gives you grace of, letting out your POs, letting out your long lead manufactured material items. Having a strong cash flow helps. Having contractors, not so much going through walls for us, but, making shit happen for us.
What else?
I feel that
why are your contract? Why are you've got that handful of, or I presume at your scale now, more than a handful of contractors who you can rely on these guys. They will deliver and they are loyal. Why are they that way? Because you're only a 3-4-year-old business. How do you develop that relationship that quickly?
You need to pick and choose the correct contractors to work for a shop fitter. There's no point picking a domestic, joiner, because he just can't accommodate the speed and the pace that you need as a shop fitting company. Our average job is anywhere between, say, 300 to I don't know, 800,000 as an average. That amount of money equals to, approximately a 10 to 12 week fit out program, where you see as a domestic builder, an average renovation will take up until, a year and a half for a domestic build. On average, it's probably 800 to 900,000 thereabouts. But that joiner doing domestic builds, he's got time.
So you're building a $4 million house in 12 months.
Yeah, we are. We've got a $3.6 million supermarket that we're building at the moment, and that program is 12 months. So
well, there you go. That's the amount of work.
Correct.
Is that for your sort of just your I'm saying the word average, but for your average your average retail hospitality fit out, is that the pace of output that needs to happen?
It does, yeah. We feel that the standards and the times are met by major shopping centres like Chatston. You've got Eastland, you've got Chatswood Chase in Sydney, Chermside in Brisbane. The sooner that a shop fitter hands over, it means that obviously the sooner that the rent starts. So ultimately, those center managers or developers or shopping center owners want us to hand over as quick as possible. I remember when I first started my project management journey, started with Leader Projects, a respected, well-known shop fitting company working under Frank Rossi. We had back then, and this is probably going back almost 20 years now. We had, on average, a $300,000 build, 12 weeks to fit out. And you compare that amount in today's market, we probably have 6 weeks. So it's halved. Center managers, developers have worked out better ways, or designers have worked out better ways and quicker ways on having a shop fitter to turn around a 100 square meter retail store. How? By having material ready to go off the shelf, by having shop drawings reviewed ASAP and not sort of sit on someone's email for, a week. So there's processes and implements that we believe have started from, the hierarchy above, just to speed up the process from a day-to-day point of view on delivering a project, whether that's a restaurant or cafe or retail store.
So you've expanded up the East Coast.
Yep.
How much of that has to do with your relationship with the shopping centres and them saying, Nick, we love working with you in Victoria. You have to come work with us in the other states? So
we, from an expansion across the East Coast of Australia, we originally organically, growed with our clients. So, the likes of July, Loon Croissants, Mad Mex, we obviously started our relationship in Melbourne. And then obviously, they got poached from, agents or wanting to obviously expand their businesses across Australia. And, they came to us and said, do you guys
naturally
want to give it a crack? And my two business partners had experience doing that. I had no experience. So I kind of shit myself. My first project, obviously, in Sydney was Bow's hot chicken in Circular Quay. And that was an awesome design. But I needed to learn to work with other contractors and ways on not being on site daily. So I needed to obviously put a lot more trust in our site managers, across Sydney and Queensland. And I needed to obviously just get on their same wavelength, get them to understand my program and the way that I wanted it built. Obviously, we're open to different ways on what's right and what's wrong and what they think and what we think. So I think collectively it's just trying to gel with a very strong site manager. He can make or break you because again, he's your eyes, ears. He sets out the project. Obviously, you'll need to review his setup, just triple checking everything. So going back to obviously working in outside of Victoria, for me, it was challenging because again, I'd never done it before, working with different contractors.
It sounds like you had it dialed in Victoria because you had that contractor network.
For me personally, that's right.
You knew that these guys were going to come out and bat for you and they were going to get it done for you.
Correct, that's right.
And now you have to venture into other people's networks or find new networks and you just don't know.
That's right, yeah.
And does it feel like when you were first in the fit out game again?
It's like you're starting from the start, right?
Which
you're the new kid on the block, talking to these grown contractors that you want to sort of connect with. But I relied a lot on my my two business partners, Daniel Molina and Daniel Jones, because they had that experience. Daniel Jones, is a very strong builder, probably arguably better than me, and I rate myself pretty highly. But what Jonesy can do, not too many other builders can. To be honest. So
what is that? As in just knowing how to build?
He just knows how to build anywhere. I reckon the guy could be in Antarctica and he can work out a fit out. So
naturally you'll go to Dubai next.
Let's start with Western Australia and Adelaide. Yeah.
So it's I love the idea of growing with your customers, and so with July, with Loon, for example, these are brands that people are very much aware of.
Talking about today, yeah.
So did you know that they obviously winners when you see them, but now when you're how has that informed your client selection now?
We're very selective on who we work with and who we work for. We, as year one in the industry, we had to obviously, a lot of times we did a lot of our projects at cost because all these, trust projects, who's trust projects? They knew us personally, but they didn't know us from a business point of view. So, our first year, I can recall doing, close to 8 projects at cost. Just going to our clients saying, listen, give us an opportunity. We'll show you our figures. Everything's obviously at cost. We'll give you a small, prelim fee. Please give us an opportunity. So our first big development or rollout was Merrifield. It's around about an hour away from Melbourne. I'd never heard of the suburb. It was a new estate, and it was a QIC run shopping centre. And Daniel Molina, our obviously one of my business partners, is the guru at sales, right? He can get a client to sign off pretty much anything. He's got that gift. He's naturally brilliant on what he does and what he says, and how he prices it. So QIC, we got a pizza Smoking Joe's project, and that was, I think, close to 150,000. We were wrapped, right? We pumped, and we ended up finishing Smoking Joe's, then rolling into a butcher shop, which was 250. So it was it was a really good. It kind of grounded us on who we are and the actual potential on where we could foresee trust projects going. We handed those projects over, on time, and obviously within some form of budget. I remember our first $1 million fit out, which was Krabby's crab boil at Docklands. Our client, who's a partner with us today on a development that we on a property that we bought together, he needed around about 10 references because he didn't know who we were. Like, you guys have only been around for a year. He goes, why should I trust you guys on delivering a restaurant, a $1 million restaurant? There was excitement there. There was nervousness from our end. We gave obviously our character references. The guy gave us an opportunity. We delivered. And obviously we formed a pretty special bond today, obviously, doing some projects together. And today, back then, $1 million fit out was, wow, huge. Today it's just another $1 million fit out.
Yeah, but it's all relative to where you're at in the journey.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, correct.
If you got a $12 million fit out today, you'd probably be pretty happy about that as well.
I'll be very happy. That's right.
Right.
But there won't be too many $12 million fit outs. They just don't. They wouldn't exist. We see our business, our core, anywhere between that, that $500,000 to $3 million fit out.
It's really interesting. I mean, the velocity at which the business has grown. Like you were just telling me that you have 20 projects on the books.
Yeah,
I think that velocity, it really seems like shop fitting gives that velocity. If you were a house builder, how long would it take you to work with 5 customers on a really nice job? It might take you 3 years.
Yeah.
Whereas for you, it might be a whirlwind, but it might be 6 months.
Charlie, it's not emotional what the projects that we deliver for our clients, where a domestic project is, right? So you've got, as a domestic couple, you've invested in your purchase, and now you want to do a build, right? So this is your personal hard-earned money, which isn't going to give you the ultimate return, right? There may be growth on that property in the market, which is great. But what we do is we deliver it's a commercial deal. It's there to make the operator a return. So he's not, that operator won't sweat on the small, mark on the wall where, if I'm laying down in bed next to my wife and she's pissed me off, or I've pissed her off, and she sees a mark on the ceiling, right? After this domestic builder has sweated, tears, injured himself during this build, right? He's going to receive an email from me or my wife saying, listen, there's a photo, fucking come and fix it, right? So there's emotion there. And obviously there's more commercial decisions that obviously we deal with.
Yeah, so what are those key metrics that the business owners are looking for? Is it purely, is return on equity a big one? Like, this is how much we're spending to open a new location, and it's going to, and the location is going to generate, $250K net profit every year. And so if we do a $750K fit out, that's going to return 30% a year, 3 years, we'll get our money back. Is that what they're thinking about?
I think the smart, strong operators think that way. And once again, there's a lot of emotional clients that we deal with, right? It's only naturally, where they don't really reflect on the return on what they're investing towards a fit out. There's no point doing a $2 million fit out on a Mad Mex, right? They won't see that return for at least 5 to 6, 7 years. So what's the point investing that amount of money towards a Mad Mex? And I think the client will need to obviously connect with the designer. The designer plays a huge role in our market today. The designer needs to understand budget, expectation, timing on delivering a project and what that project is, and what that project is meant to return back towards the client as well. So planning is, design is as important in what we do as delivering a build for a client.
How do you see your business partnership, with the velocity of the business? I keep just the speed of everything. Things happen quickly.
Very quick.
The business grows quickly. The relationship matures quickly because you go through a lot. You go through so much together. How do you guys keep alignment in that business relationship? As you're making more money, there's more enterprise value. It's starting to get a little bit I'm not saying it wasn't serious, but it's kind of, from the sounds of it, it's kind of serious now.
Yeah.
How do you guys keep alignment there?
We keep pretty grounded. We always recall back to year one and who we are and what we were back then. So it's just, it's connecting as a partnership. It's anyone will tell you it's hard, and it is hard, right? But just keeping connected, keeping grounded. We're very good business partners. Obviously, naturally, you become very good mates as well. You're with each other more than your children or your family.
Ooh, yeah.
We're together probably, 6 days, out of the week. So, there's there's no tension. There's definitely no tension, but there's times where you think, shit, why did he do that for? But you as a strong partnership, you need to support that decision. You need to run with the decision that he's made, and that's why we're very strong today. And I feel that we're going to be very strong in 10, 12 years time as well.
What does that vision look like?
Charlie, you mentioned earlier that shop fitting is a very young business, right?
Young man's game.
It's a young man's game.
That's what my father said to me.
It's a reason being is because it's quick. We understand that we've got an expiry date on how long we're going to be around for. Nobody can naturally keep up with this amount of pressure, speed. Like it's not good for the body, right? It's not. We know our expiry date, and we've got obviously a game plan on what we need to do to obviously meet our expiry date, which is naturally not retirement, but obviously living comfortably. This is why we're obviously working like madmen, right? So we know what we need to do to meet that expiry date, because every shop fitter has got an expiry date. Nobody lasts forever.
So do you think with the velocity and then just understanding of your own mortality really helps you not sweat the little things in the partnership?
You can't afford to, Charlie. you just can't afford to.
Because this is our shot to make our bucket of gold in this business.
Yeah.
And make the relationships with all these amazing restaurateurs or business people, and these relationships and these networks, dare I say, I don't know your plan, but that has to form part of your plan going into the future.
And it has to. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it will. We've got goals every year that we tick off. Whether that's making a purchase of whatever sort, but we've got goals and targets that we've set up for the next 10 to 15 years that we need to tick off, and we'll like to tick off, just so, again, once this journey expires, because nothing lasts forever, we set up obviously our plan, and we live in Greece for the remainder of our lives, or wherever it may be.
So what's talk to me about the team. Okay, so we've spoken about the contractors and getting the contractors on board. How do we align site managers? How do we align the carpenters? how do we align the contract administrators to have the urgency to organize it now, to get it right, to buy in, to carry that stress, to share the load? How do we create that incentive?
So our PMs, we have them obviously through the site management experience. First up, we don't like to go to the market and shop around for the best PM on the market. We need them to start off as a site manager. Why? It's because it's the experience that you don't get from a computer or from a university degree. I started off obviously as a PM. I regretted it. I thought, oh, PM sounds fucking, really cool and big. I didn't know what a stud was ordering for leader projects. I didn't know what a 90-35, 90-45 stud was. So I had my site manager at that time pick up the phone saying, mate, I need, 60 sticks of 90-35. I thought, what the fuck's he saying? Right? So our PMs, obviously, we've molded them on who we need them to be from a site manager role rolling into a PM role. We've got a lot of good builders as PMs that we trust, we rely, and we back. They, and we get communicated via obviously, a network, which we obviously include design team, clients, service engineers, contractors. So they understand our processes from the start, obviously being a site manager and delivering what a site manager needs to deliver, then rolling into a PM.
What are when you're setting up a job, what are those big dominoes where if you just push over the big domino, everything else will fall into place? What are some of those big things?
You need to be connected, Charlie, with the client and with the design, whether that's the actual.
Is that understanding their intent or having a relationship?
It's building that trust, hence why I trust projects. It's building that trust and having them connected and unified on what we're delivering for them. Right.
And the reason is that reduces friction?
It does. It releases friction, tension, issues. So if you're communicating daily and if the client can see the investment back towards what you're delivering, it just slams issues towards handover. You're not chasing that last 5 or 10% defects
because it's
invoice.
Not going to affect their return on equity.
100%.
It's not going to affect their return on equity because we're here to do business.
Correct, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to do business, Charlie, and we're here to deliver a product to standards.
Okay, so people listening to this will say, "Well, Nick doesn't care about quality."
No, quality is, listen, we rely on a lot on our site management and contractors for quality. And one of us directors or PMCs, we pick that issue out straight, then and there. Whether that's obviously handing over that item to meet handover and then obviously replace that after handover. But we're, our quality standards naturally is at a high expectation. Why? Because we've been doing it for how many years? We've turned over so many projects. We know what's wrong. We know what's right. We actually know what's wrong from drawing stage. So that's why connecting everyone, I feel, is a key to our business, a key to our success to date. Why? Because clients want to obviously deal with us because they trust our judgment. They trust our call. A lot of times that we make a decision because obviously time's of the essence, right? You're always finding time in rolling out a restaurant or cafe, and then we'll then explain to the customer why we did it that way.
Yes, because this process doesn't work if we're not able to get rid of the friction.
The amount of times that if we were to build as per drawings, right, as per what's documented, sign off, it wouldn't have worked. And it still would have been our issue, right? Because the builder should know better. you know, and that's our experience by obviously, you know, having built hundreds of restaurants, hundreds of cafes.
Yes, because if the shop doesn't open on time, they don't go to the architect.
They come to the builder, right? The architect's gone. He's forgotten.
And the center management doesn't go to the architect.
No way, man. No way. The center manager would just hound you and you know, want you to hand over.
So how important is it to be, dare I say, in the good graces of the shopping centers?
It's very important. It's very important having a strong connection and relationship with your TDM and your RDMs.
What's most important to them?
Delivery at a standard.
Speed and good.
Speed and good. And that's business, right? If you're doing something good at a good speed.
And that's reflected in the margin profile.
Yeah, that's right. That's
business.
right. Yeah. You as a shop fitting business, you've got obviously, you know, people think, you know, you're working on crazy margins. We're working on strong margins, but
they come fast. The jobs
come fast. Where they obviously rock the prelims, right? I don't think to date we've ever met a prelim budget because it always goes over. Why? Because we're always having to do things after hours. And then, you know, from paying someone $60 an hour, it automatically goes to $120 to $150, right? And then you need to pay them for their next day because they're obviously not working, right? So, you know, just building and having strong relationships with RDMs, TDMs is important. They can make or break you. With our experience and standard to date in the industry, they trust us, but again, they make us obviously work, to meet a handover.
So for myself, so I'm a little bit younger than you, so I'm sort of entering my late 20s now, and I'm thinking, okay, you know, I want to do something big like Nick's doing. Right, I want to do something cool. I want to build scale. I want to do that. What's that journey like? What advice would you have for someone like me?
You need to have passion. You need to love what you're doing. Charlie, I live and breathe this industry. At times, to you know, the viewers, it may not sound right what I'm about to say, but a lot of the times I put my business in front of my family.
But it's for your family.
But it's for my family. But people
and yourself.
But people would understand why Nick isn't home on a Saturday or on a Sunday night, you know. And it's not Nick's partying or, you know, going out for raves or anything like that. It's, you know, Nick's working or Nick's traveling. You know, the amount of miles that I've built up traveling, you know, in this past year, it's been crazy. So that takes a toll on the family at times, and obviously I've got a very strong wife that obviously picks up the pieces when I'm not home, and then same obviously with my two business partners. They're no different. They work crazy hours, and obviously that takes effect on their family. So I think when setting up something, whether that's a joinery business, Charlie, or you know, you're selling carpet tiles, you need to have a passion. You need to put the business first and in front of loved ones. At times, put them in front of yourself. Having that drive, having that passion is key. That's what got Trust Projects here today. We took that chance on obviously opening up our business during COVID. Again, wife was pregnant. My two business partners had obviously two kids. They had mouths to feed. And if there wasn't a passion or belief, that we wouldn't be here today. You know, probably wouldn't have exceeded past year one. Yeah.
So I'm saying the reason that your business, almost taking credit away from you, saying that the reason that your business has grown so quickly is because of the velocity in the market, in the industry. But there's a lot of shop fitters who've been around for a long time who aren't growing. What are you doing different?
That's a really good question, because we know who our competitors are, what their strengths and weaknesses are. It's having that connection with our clients and potential future clients, and that's one thing Daniel Molina, in my eyes, does the best in the industry.
Networking,
man. He's a freak at what he does.
What does he understand that we don't?
He understands the client. He understands the project, and they're the two key things that you need, right? And then obviously working out budgets. Once you understand the client, once you understand the project, then obviously you've got a budget to work towards plus or minus. So I feel our strength today is obviously thanks to Daniel Molina, because again, he's one of the best in the industry on how he brings in clients and what is expected to deliver to that client. Yeah.
What would those competitors say about trust projects?
How have they done it so fast?
What, like fuck those guys?
Yeah, it's like,
in like a competitive, like a fun competitive way.
Yeah. Listen, when it comes time to obviously price, a lot of our work, Charlie, we very rarely tender out, right? A lot of our clients come to us and we price.
Because it's a partnership. It's about
Correct.
relationships. It's what Daniel Molina understands.
Correct. That's right. But when it comes to tendering, and we know that we're pricing up against a directorate, or a FSCI or United Projects, if I know one of them are up for that tender, including my business, I'll do whatever it takes to win that job. For me, it elevates me to another level to ultimately win that project.
That's cold.
Once that drive leaves you, Charlie, you might as well just close the door. Once that passion, once that adrenaline leaves you by not wanting to compete, not wanting to win, close your doors.
Okay, so Charlie's a little bit fancy and he thinks that his product is better so he can charge more. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want it, then okay, you don't have to have it. What do you say to Charlie?
Charlie will probably be suited more for domestic joinery packages.
Yeah.
Like again, Charlie, our work is detailed. You need to deliver a good product, but the joiner needs to know how much time he's got and how much time he needs to spend on manufacturing something. If you're spending, an extra 8 hours just to get a P50 detail or shadowline detail right, like it doesn't work for shop fitting, that's the ultimate truth.
Right. So you need to, and that's sort of, my quality question before was a little bit cheeky in that way, because it's not the point is not quality. The point is giving the customer what they want. And ultimately, what they need. Ultimately, what they want is they've done a projection on their return on equity, and they want that to make sense. They want that to play out, and for it to play out, the job has to get done.
100%. But they're not going to sweat on a P50 detail, right? A lot of our clients won't.
Does it? Right? Does it affect their customer's experience?
Definitely not.
You're a shop fitter.
Yeah.
So you walk into restaurants and you'll pick all the quality issues.
My head always goes up.
I'm a cabinet maker. I'm always looking, this is good, that's not good, whatever. But it doesn't affect their customer's experience.
That's right.
Some things it might, but.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So there's different ways to obviously, build for restaurants or build for cafes. And the materials and the way that something is constructed needs to last. If there's, an edge detail of 16 mil and it's on a sharp edge, and then you've got a 10 mil shed iron next to that. Then you've got your cabinets, and it's throughout a heavy kind of thoroughfare. That 16 mil is going to get bloody chipped. So there's no point doing it. It's going to look good when we install and for the photos. In a week's time, it's not. It's going to delaminate, or it's going to chip, or you know what I mean. So that's where I'm referring back to, like, not delivering hospitality retail products to last. You know what I mean? At times, having a solid edge is going to work a lot better than having a laminated 60 mil edge, right? It's going to last. Or capping it with a bit of angle, powder coated to match, the filler.
Yeah. So give us an idea as to what sort of scale the business is at now. What are we looking at?
We're comfortable on where we are. Our turnover, we've obviously, from year one, we've turned over as a number probably 4 times to date. So it's huge. The growth has been massive. We feel that we're entering and we're working in our correct niche. We don't want to get any bigger from a turnover point of view, because we just wouldn't sustain the workload. We feel that our current turnover is well connected with our clients as well, where we're not kind of brushing them off and only having them deal with the PM or with the CA. All of our clients, the 20 projects that we've got currently on our books, the 3 directors, which obviously includes myself, are connected with each individual client.
So you do all the client-facing work, or the great majority of the client-facing work?
With obviously working in conjunction with our PMs as well, but where we always need to be seen and heard from our, with our clients.
And I guess part of that is the customer experience.
That's right.
The trust brand.
100%.
But part of it is also the delivery.
Yeah, that's right.
We need to make sure that the product is correct.
We feel comfortable that our PMs can deliver without us present. Like our office, our site management team, Charlie, it's super strong. And you've experienced that firsthand, right? We know how to build a restaurant. We know how to build a cafe. We know how to build a retail store. Not too many people know how to put something together, right? And it's easy to follow a set of drawings, but it's not easy to deliver a restaurant that's going to last, that's going to operate well. So having that experience, obviously, and connection with our clients throughout the journey, regardless if we're working on 12 projects or 20 projects, or we say to ourselves, shit, I don't have time to call that client. We need to find time, and we do find time to call clients and obviously just touch base. Like, is everything okay? Do you need to make any changes? What do you need?
So what I'm hearing is you don't think we can 5x the amount, the scale from here?
We don't want to. We're in our right working niche, where we're seeing who we are today as a strong, confident shop fitting company. Charlie, we're going to be around for many more years. And we're going to be delivering some awesome projects today and also in the future.
So you mentioned you're doing development or investment in some property.
Yeah.
Is that commercial as well?
That's commercial. Yeah.
Can you speak about that at all?
We obviously did a pact with my 2 partners, and we feel that we leave a lot of money, obviously our return in our business. we've the three of us have got obviously similar lifestyles. We're not money hungry. We don't sweat on who takes what out of the business. But our ultimate pack is to obviously reinvest our money, our hard work, money in return, back in property.
And commercial is the way to go.
Yep. So yeah.
So that's something that the future.
That's
holds,
that's the ultimate goal. And going back to that expiry, whether that's 12, 13, 14 years.
Yeah. Because I can see very easily the brand evolving into
hotels, maybe
asset management,
shopping centers. One day. Yeah.
But I get a feeling that you wouldn't open restaurants.
We've invested in some hospitality businesses.
Yeah.
Some have failed. Some have succeeded. We want to steer away from that now. We just want to be focusing on what we do best, and that's building restaurants, not operating or not investing in restaurants. Operating a restaurant, Charlie, is it's hard work, right? Yeah. I've got my father-in-law, brother-in-laws operate restaurants, successful restaurants, and I see that grind, from visiting them at my father-in-law's house or brother-in-law's house, and it's hard work, right? We're there. Like I see, you can say, the hard work for us is to deliver that project within 8 weeks and within budget. They've just got that grind, day in, day out, staff, and we've all got staff, right? And, food quality.
You have to deliver every single time, every single plate, every single day.
It's hard, man.
360, however many days a year.
It's hard. It's ruthless. Yeah. It's a ruthless industry. My family does it very well. They've got 2 successful restaurants. They've had a couple of ones that have failed, but they learned from that expense. And obviously, operating some, well-known restaurants. But again, it's hard work, and I can see that. And I don't want to be involved with that anymore.
Yeah. So you guys started Trust Projects partially, you said, to prove that you guys could do it. Prove to the industry, prove to yourselves.
It wasn't financial, Charlie.
Does it feel like you've done that?
Yeah.
It does?
Yeah. And
how does it feel to be vindicated in some way or triumphed in some other way?
Charlie, it's a proud feeling, right? Working on something and having the people talk about what you've succeeded in, and that's obviously opening up a successful, or not opening, because you don't have success opening up something. You work towards something to be successful, right? So for us, it's an awesome feeling. It's a proud feeling. It's obviously given us a lot of opportunity in investing or doing what we need to do with our return. But having our logo on a hoarding, driving past the city and seeing, you're doing something at 80 Collins Street, you always think about where you were day one. You know what I mean? And seeing your brand, early days, seeing your sticker on, Merrifield, which is an hour away. And nobody really notices it. But when you're working in the city and you're competing against all the other big boys or all the other shop fitters, and seeing your brand on the shop front, it's and your staff wearing your apparel, man. It's for me, it's a great feeling, man. Like you think, fuck, we started this 4 years ago, with zero money, right? And during COVID, and my wife being pregnant at that stage, and obviously my 2 business partners with kids, having to feed them, right? These guys stopped their jobs to start something, whether it was going to work or not. For us, it's obviously worked, but again, we can't afford to get complacent. you still need to meet your margins, Charlie. You still need to meet that quality. You still need to deliver the projects, regardless what you've got in your bank or whether you think you've made it or not. Being complacent, I feel is the devil in some ways, because you kind of take a step back and you think, oh yeah, I've done it. I don't really care if I don't deliver that on time, and it's only $100,000 job. Like, they could wait. Once you get into that mentality, Charlie, it's you're ultimately looking at failing. We don't know business. We're not business gurus. We're just three guys that love what we do, but we know what needs to be done and what you can't afford not to do. So
that complacency is very, very dangerous.
Very dangerous, Charlie. Very dangerous. And we've seen it firsthand with other competitors. They win 2 or 3 big jobs and they think, oh well, that's great. That client that we've had for a year, he can just kind of be on the back foot now, right? We don't kind of need him. That's when complacency starts obviously forming up, and it's a bad omen to have.
Do you spend a lot of time with the team talking to them about what trust is and what you're trying to deliver, what you're trying to create?
Yeah.
Or do they just feel it and understand it? And
they feel it, they understand it, because we're always there feeding it, right? So we don't leave a project unturned. We're all, like, as directors, we're always involved. Like, I'm still running projects, right, as PM. Jones is still running projects as a PM. The other PMs that we have see, because we're obviously that connected, and obviously we have our weekly whip, so they know what we do, the struggles as not only directors but as PMs, right? There's no different towards me running a job and someone else. Like, I've only got the director title, but who gives a shit about that, right? So it's just that connection. It's seeing the PMs, seeing the way that we work and how hard we work on the floor. So it's just.
So who should get in touch with Nick Harris?
From a client point of view,
anyone.
Or contractor point of view,
anyone.
From a contractor point of view, we're very selective on who represents us on site, because they don't only wear the John's Plumbing brand on, but they actually represent us. If they deliver a shit product, it's the
They
plumber.
don't remember John's Plumbing.
No, man. They remember Trust Projects delivering that shit product. If they hear a contractor swearing on site or abusing someone or sexually harassing someone on site, it's not the plumber. It's the builder, right?
Yes.
So we're very selective on who we bring into our group. We don't have a big core selection of trades, Charlie, because we're very tight on who we bring in. We don't, we don't go around seeking the cheapest price, because we just don't have the network to do that. And we don't want the network to do that, to be honest.
Because you're chasing consistent outcomes.
It's consistent.
Not consistently cheap prices.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Where a lot of other shop fitters or builders do that. And that's and it's not the right way.
Because you understand the bigger picture of what we're trying to achieve.
100%.
We're trying to get the customer in so they can get their return on equity.
100%.
And they can say, wow, Trust helped us do that, and let's do it on the next one.
100%.
And then let's do it in Sydney, and then let's do it in Brisbane.
100%, man.
And then let's go wherever it takes us.
Charlie, if you're meeting your margin, right, what's the point? Like, why do you need an extra 2 or 3%? Like, why is there a need to screw a contractor over for a round off figure?
You're paying for it either way.
100%. But we've allowed
Yeah.
for your price, whether that's $3. We've allowed for that, and obviously we've put margin on top of that, right? It's just naturally what we do. That's our business. Is there a need for $3? Bring that down to $2.50 or $4? You've already
you sacrifice. You might get a 2% cheaper price, but you might be sacrificing 20% goodwill, and that might have
that relationship as well.
Yeah, and that could have gotten you across the line on this one and the 10 next jobs.
100%.
It's it doesn't make sense, does it?
There's no need to do that. Like there's no. I've been a strong believer of. There isn't need to screw someone down. Just
who taught you that? Did mum and dad say that to you?
No. My previous boss was never about that. So I kind of learned a lot from him. But what I saw from a deliverable from him not doing that is when he picked up the phone and he needed something done, or if there was a leak of one of the basins during a restaurant operating, that contractor will drop what he was doing and attend that leak. You know what I mean?
And that
was that respect.
Yeah.
That he developed, which obviously I've taken on myself, by doing. Like, if I need something done, not that I expect it, but if I need something sorted, I want you to do it.
Yeah, I mean, on a balance of probabilities, you're going to get more people batting for you more
100%,
often.
That's right.
And, like you said, if they're swearing on site or doing bad things on site, it's a reflection of trust projects.
Correct, that's right.
If they do something awesome, trust also gets the glory.
That's
so
right.
It goes every which way,
I feel that a lot of contractors are developing a strong business today where there's a consistent spread on what a contractor delivers. I think going back 20, 25, 30 years ago, there was a lot of cowboys. My dad obviously has been in the building industry for a number of years. And I saw and always got taught that these contractors, shit, they're dodgy or they're doing something wrong or they fucked me over.
Or the same thing about employees, some people would say. Yeah,
that's right. Well, I feel that today that there's a lot more sort of educated plumbers, educated electricians that know the fundamentals of operating a business and what they need to deliver and how they deliver. And that obviously is a huge reflection on what we deliver, right? As a shop fitting company.
Professionalism.
It is. There's a lot more today. I don't know whether that's people are getting smarter and obviously back then people were, not educated as much as what they are today. But there's definitely been a big difference from what I can see from back then to dealing with a contractor or with anyone, to be honest, from a day-to-day point of view today.
So what are you focused on in the near term? What are those goals that we're really trying to smash?
We want to be so Trust Project is obviously seen as a boutique shop fitting business.
Yes.
What we would like to be focusing a lot more on is a lot more franchises. So, doing a lot more sort of, Mad Mexes, Snitzers, like all the major franchises. We feel that it's the emotional element of what we're delivering is black and white or sometimes red and blue, right? So that wall, that column is not going to change. It's as per brand and that's what it's going to be. Where a lot of the restaurants and cafes that we're building, sometimes for first-time operators, it's hard. It's always, what do you think? Looks good. And that takes up a lot more time and energy by having to change that column 3 or 4 times because the wife got involved, or the designer got involved, or someone else got involved.
And suddenly it feels like a domestic build.
That's right. That's right. So, you know, we still like to keep our niche boutique projects, but we want to be steering into franchises a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, experienced operators and franchises, they decrease operational drag.
Yeah, that's right.
And, you know, you're aligning yourself with sophisticated customers. And
it's customers knowing what they want.
And you're creating scale because you can speak to the owner of that chain whilst you've got 4 PMs managing, you know, 20 of the restaurants over 2 years.
That's right.
And you can, in that same amount of time, you cannot speak to 20 different customers.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, very true.
That's how you're finding some scale as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Very true.
That
makes a lot of sense. Is there anything else that we need to talk about today?
Nothing from my end. No.
Well, I mean, I guess I would like to end on, I guess, just expressing a sense of admiration because, I mean, we worked together in 2020, I think.
Yeah.
On
building Money Bar.
That
was our first project.
Wow, amazing project.
That was crazy.
Was that your first project?
That was our first project.
That was our first project.
That was our first.
Yeah.
And how we got connected, Charley, was obviously I had mates on forwarding through the work that you did, you know, via the social media. To be honest, I got a lot of what's the word, man? I saw your social presence as highly regarded, and I've taken that leaf into our social media platform. So that first project, Money Bar, people still talk about it today, man. It's you know, it was a great project. And
are the operators, are they still using the space?
100%.
Are they enjoying the space?
They're loving the space. Yeah.
Okay. And
it's really cool.
So they're doing good business there, which is,
they are. That's right.
Okay, which is good. Yeah. I mean, so that was very eye-opening for me because I think that was our first commercial project as well. We'd been purely domestic. And then since then we'd, you know, done, you know, more projects for you. Most recently, you know, that we did Pair. I went to go see the shop. It might have been a couple of months ago, and you know, it looked great. You know, it's just so that's another project we're obviously in talks with at the moment because they're actually taken over that corner cafe. Right.
So hoarding has been erected, and what they're looking at doing is relocating all the joinery from Pair 1. There's a new, obviously, drawing package that's going to soon to be released. Obviously, we're going to send it through to yourself, and do another project there.
Yeah. So just that, and what I've learned so much from you guys is the velocity. Just, you know, like you said, you know, we might worry for 8 hours about something that doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
And just giving the customer what they want. You know, not so much what we want to give them.
That's right.
And the overall enthusiasm and positivity is something that I admire a lot.
Nice,
and I think a lot. I think a lot about
when you're comparing to your other shop-fitted clients,
and just how I think about my business and how I think about how we, you know, because with the work we do, we get so caught up in little things. And it is important because we are giving our customers and our architects what they expect, which is they expect just absolute focus and absolute attention to detail on everything. And that's what they are paying for, which is what we'll give them. But in that process, you can get bogged down and you can lose speed. You can forget to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. So those are some of the thematics that I really appreciate, and I've learned a lot from you. So awesome. I wanted to thank you for that.
Thanks,
as well.
Charley. Appreciate it, man.
And thank you for coming on the show.
Cool.
I think we should wrap it up.
Awesome.
Thank you.